Well, this isn't a video I planned on ever making, but sometimes things just happen, and you have to drop everything you're currently working on and step up to the plate. What am I talking about, you may ask? Well, on Sunday the 24th of November, I sat down to complete my usual Sunday ritual of working off Saturday's beer consumption by watching the Retro Ghetto vlog he puts out each week. During this, he was gifted some games by Strictly Limited Games. These are all games they sell as a bundle, and one of them he was super excited about, Super Life of Pixel. It's a platformer with a bit of a similar premise to Evoland, where you work your way through gaming history and the graphics keep improving the further you go. Recently, at the end of his vlogs, he's been showcasing some of the gameplay of something he'd picked up or spoke about in the episode. This time, he chose to give Super Pixel a whirl, and this is how it went.
It was always going to be one of them games you're going to die a lot on, that's for sure. There's time in the top right corner as well, I don't know if that's relevant. Oh. Oh no. Ah! No! No! Oh no! You really have to learn. Ah! You have to learn every level. Yes! 23 lives lost on level 1! 1%! Oh my gosh, I feel like I've aged in one level. I've been defeated. I couldn't clear the second level. I'm throwing a challenge out to anybody that's got this game, any of the YouTubers. Let me know if you can do this game. I'm throwing a challenge in particular to Ross Bar. You seem like the kind of guy that would get kicks from beating a game like this. You do like rubbish games, to be fair, and I certainly won't say it's a rubbish game. It's an enjoyable one.
That's right, he issued a challenge to people to beat the game, and specifically called me out. He even mocked my choices of games I choose to play. There's nothing wrong with horse games, damn it! I knew I had to put down my latest equestrian adventure and accept this challenge. So I jumped straight onto Amazon and picked up a copy. To my excitement, I found out there was a PS4 version, which was a godsend to me as I try not to spend money on Switch versions of games if they exist on a platform with trophies or achievements. Anyway, being Amazon, the game showed up the next day, and I installed it straight away. Before we begin, let me just show you Callum. This is how you're meant to do those 2 levels you were struggling with. It is looking a bit more like it. I'm pretty sure he started on the Spectrum levels, didn't he? Yeah, this is the level. Right, this is the one he lost 23 lives on. I think that wants you to jump. There you go, Callum. That's how you do that one. That's how you do that one. Come on, first try. This isn't hard, I'm just making it harder than it is. By forgetting stupid bits. Like that. That's how you do it. It's done. Your problem, I think, was not realising that if you haven't jumped, you can jump mid-air. I played for about an hour the first day, beating roughly around 25 levels, and was wondering what all the frustration was about. I easily ran through all the levels of the ZX81, the Atari 2600, and the ZX Spectrum. At this point, I was feeling really cocky and thought this would be over in no time. Moving on to evening 2 of play, I beat the levels for the BBC Micro, the Amstrad CPC 464, and most of the Commodore 64 section. The game was starting to get a little tougher, but I felt I was still making good progress. From here I continued on with a couple more sections, including the Game Boy. Then out of nowhere, after finishing the NES section, I got a congratulations, saying I'd beat the original game, but apparently there was plenty more of extra content to play through. This also unlocked the Apple II machine to play. I knew I couldn't take this as a victory. The game was only about 40% complete on the overall completion. To me, this wasn't the challenge complete, not by a long way. So I jumped back in and started working through some of the other machines, including the SNES, the Amiga and the Apple II. To be honest, the Super Nintendo was where I was starting to get a bit burnt out on the game. It was getting way tougher as the levels kept getting longer and more maze-like. This was kind of giving me flashbacks to when I tried to beat Alfred Chicken on the Super Nintendo, which I was once doing for a video, but it never saw the light of day. Usually this is where I would commit to finishing something like that off, but I don't know, I don't think I could ever resurrect playing through that again. On completion of the Apple II levels, I found myself confused as I was booted back to the title screen. The next machine wasn't unlocked. Oh no, we finished all the... Oh, the game just ends. Okay, so I've got to collect all the special gems. So to unlock these ones, I've got to do that. Okay. I was starting to worry about what this was going to entail to unlock, and sadly my guess was correct. You have to collect all the optional special gems. So I went ahead and did that. This unlocked the Master System levels. I didn't record any of my footage going for the special gems. I thought it would be way too much footage for a small video, and a full playthrough of all the levels was eating up my hard drive space enough. But even after all this was said and done, there was still one machine missing, but I guessed it would unlock after completing this section. The Master System levels is the point where I started to think the game was going to beat me. I was taking quite a few attempts to beat the levels, and they were becoming way more maze-like. Little did I know this was just the tip of the iceberg. After beating the Master System levels, you're hit with another end screen, this time telling you you're amazing, but then again you're just thrown back to the title screen, and the final console isn't even unlocked. At this point I realised you most likely have to collect all the optional hidden fruit in every level to unlock it, so I pulled up a walkthrough and went hunting for these. This is where I realised the game's update must have changed a few things, as 3 other fruit on the guide were missing. I was worried that this might be the end. I couldn't progress. Maybe the game had glitched on me, but I got hunting through all the Master System levels and located which levels had the 3 that seemed to have been moved. I have a small bit of footage showing which levels are hiding the missing fruit if you're interested. What do I mean if you're interested? It's coming up now. Okay, well I've just unlocked the Mega Drive, which is a bit annoying, because if you look at any guides, because I was looking for the collectibles, you have to find all the fruits to get this one. If you go to Master System, they have put the purple lolly, the green candy, and the blue sushi on these levels instead of Mega Drive levels. Going for the fruit is where the trophies made this game a hell of a lot harder. When you complete a level, there's also a hidden hardcore completion bonus. This is where you collect every gem, special gem, and fruit in the level in one go without dying. You will know if you've achieved this on a level, as it will place a little pixel icon wearing sunglasses next to the level in the selection screen. There happens to be a trophy for doing 40 levels with this hardcore bonus. To make this worse, not every level has fruit, so it's not just as simple as beating the first 40 levels. But by the time I had all the fruit, I also had this trophy. Completing this lengthy task did indeed unlock the Mega Drive console within the main game, and to be honest, I wasn't looking forward to it due to how much time it had taken me to beat the last few worlds. But my pride was on the line for this one. I had to beat the game. I can't get called out then throw in the towel. As with all the other stages in the game, the Mega Drive ones were no different. The stages were easily recognisable with the games that they were trying to emulate. This time it included games such as Altered Beast and Streets of Rage, but the novelty soon wears off when the levels start kicking your ass. Again, the levels felt like they got bigger, but I got through this section quicker than I expected. I think replaying the levels in hardcore mode gave me some serious practice with the game. Beating the Mega Drive displays another endgame screen, this time saying incredible, and you actually get a small credits screen showing who created the game. At this point I should have just said the game is done, I've beaten the challenge. But I was sitting at 94% completion. My completionist brain couldn't have this, it needed to say 100%. But where was the rest hidden? Well, on the intro screen to the game, there's a section labelled Special Collection, which I knew held a few more special machines. But this was still greyed out. How could it still be locked? I had no idea how to unlock this option, so with a quick Google later, I found out you have to find all the machines hidden in the levels, and then this would become accessible. So back into the previous levels I went, hunting for missing machines. I couldn't find much information on the internet of where these were hidden, other than a rough idea of what levels they were in. So it took some trial and error, but I finally found them all, unlocking the Special Collection levels. Inside this menu you will find levels for the MSX, CGA, Macintosh 128K, Atari ST, and the EGA, whatever that is. And yet again, there's a final option, which is unavailable. These sections only had 2 levels each, opposed to the main game's 8, but 2 was enough. These levels were something else. The difficulty was dialed up way higher than any other part of the game. The difficulty was so much higher I was spending so long on each level I couldn't justify recording the entire footage. The level that gave me the most hassle was the Caverns of Pain. The timing window and the never-ending walls of fire you have to pass is something else. Almost every obstacle is a one-hit death as well, and the level is stupidly long. All the levels in this section are like this. You have to be pixel perfect with your jumps, otherwise it's back to the start again. I imagine more than half of my deaths in the entire game came from these levels alone. But with some perseverance, and some beer, I was able to fight through these 5 worlds. And guess what? The Sega Saturn didn't unlock. I should have known by now, but to unlock this, you have to get all the hidden collectibles in them 5 worlds. So I had to go back in. Luckily, most of them are only about halfway through the levels, so they were easier to grab, as they didn't have to be done in a hardcore run, which meant you could just grab them and quit to the menu. Then boom, it was there, the final set of levels. I had to do these 2, and it would have been 100% completion on the game. I made a bet with myself that the first Sega Saturn level would look like Castlevania, and I was right. Didn't win anything for it though, did I? I think I was just talking to myself at this point, I was going mad. This level took a good few goes, but compared to what came before it, it wasn't too hard. The real issue came with the second level in this collection. It required you to use so many time switches, all at the same time as dodging lasers. It took me a very long time to gradually learn the level. When you have it down, it's not too bad, but slowly progressing one hazard at a time can be frustrating. But I did it. I hit 100% in the game. Just gonna jump in. Look at it. 100%. Got 100%. The Saturn levels are horrendous. So horrendous. This game had been kicking me in the dick for the last few hours, and it felt good to be there. Any normal man would have took this as a win for the challenge. But no, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I knew there was one thing left standing between me and the ultimate end, the Platinum Trophy. You see, there's a speedrun trophy where you have to beat all the levels in the game within a time limit of 3 hours. Luckily this isn't in one go though. It's an overall accumulated total of the levels you've played, so you can just go back and improve your times. If you lower your total times on all the levels put together to sub 3 hours, you will get the trophy. This is easier said than done though. Some of them extra levels took me a long time of just waiting around for lasers and fire. At points I had to just sit and wait and count the timing of these obstacles, so it really dragged out these sections. My plan was to shave off the time I needed in the main game. I had to somehow reduce my overall time by roughly an hour. This meant I was going to have to go back in and get good at the levels from this section, which annoyed me the first time round. Luckily after the bonus missions, these didn't feel all that difficult. It still took me about 6 hours of replaying missions to shave that time down, but I finally unlocked the speedrun trophy. Right, well here it is. I'm looking all greasy and worn down. We check the game stats. We see a nice 2 hours 59.56 seconds for accumulated best time, which if we go to check the trophies, we'll see that we've got the platinum. That's it. That is the end of this game. It's tough. I'm not going to lie, it's tough. It's got to be, I'll give it a 6 out of 10 difficulty. The majority of it's really easy, but the last few, levels for the Saturn and, the one where it's like the Cavern of Pain or something, yeah, that's tough. But yeah, beating the game, you don't actually have to do it start to finish in 3 hours. You've just got to beat every level and accumulate it under 3 hours to beat the whole thing, so it's still pretty tough. So it's done. There you go, Ghetto. I've beat your challenge. Properly beat it now. That was it. Challenge done. Overall, I really enjoyed the game. Somewhere in the middle, it started to drag a bit, and it felt like it was going on forever. But that was more me just burning myself out trying to complete it quickly, rather than the quality of the game itself. The biggest gripe has to be that when it switches up the graphics, it's just a new coat of paint, and there isn't much changed in the gameplay department. You do unlock a double jump early on in the game, but they could have just included that from the start, since you get it in the first couple of worlds anyway. At points they introduce items you can use, such as bombs and weapons that you can fire, but I feel it would have been better if you had started levels with these, making them more context sensitive to the game they were trying to portray. As afterwards they just stand out like they were shoehorned in, like they created this mechanic so it must be used in subsequent levels. They do add vehicles and jetpacks, but the vehicles I found more of a hindrance. The jetpack is very useful though and can completely break levels if you find one. This game reminded me of the Awesome P games. These are also simple collectathon 2D platformers, but are displayed with an entirely Game Boy aesthetic. If you enjoyed this, you will enjoy them. Also, if you like games like Celeste and Super Meat Boy, this might be up your alley, but don't expect anything of that quality. The physical version of this is available on the Switch and the PS4 from Strictly Limited Games, and it's still in stock, but being a limited game, if you like the look of this, grab it while you still can. So there it is. After a brutal 21 hours, I had completed the game I was called out on by Retro Ghetto. And not only beat it, I achieved the Platinum Trophy, which actually made me the 25th person to do it on the trophy tracking website True Trophies. Overall, it's a frustrating but achievable Platinum Trophy if you have the patience. I never really got angry at the game during my playthrough. Well, there was the odd swear word while playing, but it was mostly just a feel of defeat every time I died. But its quick restarting the levels cleared that feeling in no time, and I was happy just to restart the level and go again. Now, no more challenges. I've got some longer videos to continue working on, which I'm nowhere near finished. Just kidding, I really enjoyed this. I will say if you don't know Retro Ghetto, go over and give him a sub. But if you've made it to my depths of the internet, you're going to know who he is. I have left a link to the vlog in question in the description. So anyway, I'm going to bugger off now, people. I need some sleep. Have fun.